Welcome. We're back. How's everybody doing? Hope you had a good weekend. Hope you had a good day in the market. A lot of things bounced today. Cryptos, stocks. We're going to talk about everything. Futures up a little bit, not too crazy. And yeah, I'm just going to kind of get right into it. We'll talk a little bit later. You know, the whole entire drill. I'm going to cover the market, cover Bitcoin first, and then I'll cover the stock market overall. Then we're going to look at some ongoing trades and some other things. And then after we finish all that, we'll do ticker requests for all of you. So let's get right into it. Let's start off with Bitcoin. Very, very volatile weekend. Pretty much went from 42K all the way down to about 32K. Pretty much had a $10,000 decline before a major bounce at 32K. So very good bounce on Bitcoin. It is now at 39K. So it's just kind of really chopping in between 30K and 40K. You know, ever since it broke that 42K support, which used to be resistance at one point, it's been quite choppy. So, you know, just taking a look at Bitcoin right now, kind of had a descending broadening wedge. I haven't streamed this all long, I'm like forgetting how to talk, but you had a descending broadening wedge. And I like how you had a higher low double bottom as well on Bitcoin. I mean, that means not once but twice. Buyers came in the low 30K area and they said that they wanted to buy there. And on the second time, the bears could not push it all the way down to 30K. They got close, but the bulls came in early. Also have some nice MACD, some divergence if you're going off of candle closes. Pretty solid. I mean, the daily you don't have any divergence, but it's nice to see the MACD losing that negative momentum. The RSI was oversold for the first time since the COVID crash. It's no longer oversold because, again, you had a very big bounce. And across the board, a lot of altcoins are doing very, very well in crypto. I put out an altcoin trade today for everybody. That's up like 9% now. Let me delete that. Yeah, it's up about 9%. Alerted it like maybe 7 or 8 hours ago. Good start, classic bullish divergence and a bullish bat. Add an ice line in case you missed the alert and you're not on the Discord for whatever reason. OXT, trade's already up 9%. If you're not on the Discord, go to the description. It's right there and join the Discord. That's where you can get so many things. 1,700 people to chat with that are all great traders. Stream alerts in case YouTube doesn't alert you when I go live, and just so much more. So, and also my trade alerts. So join the Discord. Everybody can join us in the description. That's cryptos. Let's talk about the stock market now. On Friday and really today, I was not too active with stocks. I mean, I looked at a few things. Just really, I was focusing on the trades. I wasn't really looking or scanning too much. I was too busy, but it's been pretty solid. So I've been able to take I've been able to sit back and take a little bit of a break, and the market's been doing well. It's been holding up pretty decently. Thank you, Guy and Half, for dropping the link in the description. Let's take a look at the S&P 500 first. You're kind of in the middle of a nowhere, near the top, not near the top of the wedge, but definitely much closer to the top than the bottom of this wedge that you've been in ever since December of last year. You've been in this pattern on the daily. Here's the good news. On the S&P 500, you're showing daily hidden bullish divergence. You want to know the last time that happened? It was March 5th. I remember the day because so many people were freaking out thinking that the bull market was over. And on March 5th, I said, I think we're going to bounce here. Put out a tweet, put out a notification in the Discord, and that was literally the bottom. We've never been back to that price of March 5th since March 5th. And we had hidden bullish divergence on the daily. So we had the same exact setup right over here before, I think, over a 10% bounce. Yeah, like a 13% bounce. So you're showing that same exact setup on the daily again. We'll see what happens. Really, as long as you're above 4176 on the S&P 500, I feel very, very comfortable. Of course, you're getting some low time frame bearish divergence. You might see a pullback after 3 pretty solid days in the market. If we get a pullback day, I think that's completely normal. I'm not going to be freaking out about it, just because we might be a little bit overbought in the short term, but the long-term trend is still intact. We're still very well in a bull market, despite all the fears in the past 2 or 3 weeks, and it's good. You're looking good on the S&P 500. Same exact story on the NASDAQ. You actually have confirmed hidden bullish divergence. Looking pretty solid. You're back above 13.6K on NASDAQ, which was a major resistance over here, over here, over here. You broke above it pretty easily this time around. So the indices are looking pretty good. Again, they might be short-term and overbought just because you had 3 consecutive very solid days for the market. But that's fine. Again, even if we get a pullback, I'm still bullish on this market overall. Might have a couple rough days just to, be a little bit healthy in the market, not get too overbought. And the trends look good. I see a lot of stocks that look good, especially growth stocks. And again, if you were watching the streams last week, I think actually, no, it wasn't last week. It was the week before last week, where I was like nonstop talking about growth stocks. It was pretty much this week right over here when we were really falling in the market and growth stocks were hitting like their bottoms for the year, or pretty much for the last like 10 months ever since the COVID crash. More than 10 months actually. So all those growth stocks were at like 52-week lows, and they were just getting demolished like 2 weeks ago, and they just looked so good because they had divergence and supports and harmonic patterns, and they've been crushing it. I mean, if we look at the trades, most of these trades are growth stocks. I mean, there's a few tech stocks in there like Nvidia, which also is up 11%. That's very nice, but you can see all around very, very good. There's like 2 trades that are down. One of them's premium, one of them's non-premium. It's okay. I mean, this first trade was up actually, but the taker pulled back quite a bit. And other than that, it's a pretty green sheet. Obviously, if you're a premium member, you know about space. And if you're not a premium member, shout out to Guy in Hat. He told everybody in the analyst channel that he thought it looked good, and it's up like 60% in a week. So this hit the target for 54% on space this morning. It was great. Obviously, you had a couple catalysts helping out there, but it's just that same exact scenario where, oh wow, the technicals look super, super good, and then 2 days later a catalyst comes out. I mean, it's happened more than a handful of times this year on many, many trades, so it's just super optimal. And yeah, Fisker's up 21% since the entry. We're going to look at all the tickers, but obviously it's been a very, very green sheet for a little bit over a week now after a couple rough weeks with the big market pullback. We had like a 7 or 8% correction on the NASDAQ, maybe a 9% correction on the NASDAQ in like 4 or 5 days, if you remember that. It feels like forever ago, but it really wasn't. I'm sure many people remember it very, very well. And yeah, so in terms of the market, still looks good to me long term for now. Short term, you might be a little bit overbought, but who knows? Futures are up a little bit. In terms of like the fundamental standpoint, obviously we're having major reopenings going on or continuing to occur. We'll see how everything goes by with COVID, whether we're good, whether we're not good. I'm not a scientist, so I don't know. Also, got to be talking about interest rates. There's a few things that you definitely have to keep an eye on. Tax hikes, those ongoing things that have been lingering for a couple months that we've all been talking about. they're going to be around. Some of them might not be good. Some of them might not matter. It's too hard to tell for me right now personally. So I'm just taking it day by day. And for right now, we're in a pretty healthy market in my opinion. You know, for the time being, of course, if you look at this on the monthly, you're going to eventually, it might be in a month, it might be in 2 years. Eventually, we're going to get another pullback at some point. I mean, like a real pullback. Because if you zoom out on the S&P 500, it's pretty much like you were having a very nice incline for a couple decades, and then really ever since the '08 crash, it's been a pretty insane market. This is probably the best market ever for the US, I mean, in the past 100 years, in terms of just percentage by the time that it took to rise that much. But don't quote me on that, but sure. This is pretty insane. Most markets like this do get, you know, corrections, and this will get a correction at some point, but timing it, it's just not what I do. I don't try and predict things and always be perfect. I just take it day by day. If I'm right, I make money. If I'm wrong, I just try to cut my losses and move on. That's just how I trade. And for now, there's not too much to worry about for me personally. Let's go D with the 1111 donation. Incoming, let me fix my audio. Thank you for the market analysis, Everstream Champ. I think it's good. I don't know, usually the first time somebody tips on a stream, my audio will like freeze up and I have to just like reset it, but it didn't actually happen this time. I think it's good. So D, thank you for the 1111. Appreciate all the tips you've been sending my way. Appreciate the support from everybody. I'm sorry I couldn't stream on last Thursday or yesterday. Wasn't home, but I'm back home now, and then tomorrow I leave again, so I'm trying my best. I'll be live tonight for as long as I can be, and then I'm not going to be home for 2 days, and then on Thursday that'll be the next stream. So we're going to try to make the most of this stream. Make sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, check out the links in the description. And yeah, I'm just going to finish talking about the market, then we're going to look at the ongoing trades, and then after we finish that, I'm going to spend the rest of the stream looking at however many tickers you all want me to look at for you. So sit back. And what else do I want to talk about? The Russell, just kind of neutral over here in this, looks like a triangle for now, symmetrical triangle. The ARK ETF is looking amazing. Shout out to the growth stocks. Obviously, this has underperformed the major indices in the last few months, or really ever since February. And it's finally starting to look pretty good. Like I've been saying for a little bit over a week now, you have that classic bullish divergence, and you had a bullish crab, and you broke a supply line, and you're getting the follow through price action. So pretty strong. Other than that, GameStop, I've talked about it a few times in the Discord. I put out more than a few tweets on Twitter, which is where you tweet about GameStop, especially towards the end of last week. And GameStop, it did pull back a lot, but it was up like 6% at one point today. Pretty interesting what's going on here. Kind of have a cup and handle with, it's not the same as it was in the beginning of last week, which is when I was really looking at it, but up and handle on the 1 hour with hidden bullish divergence. Got a very, very nice move. And yeah, it had a great morning, pulled back a lot. It's GameStop is very volatile. At this point, I'm not too sure. You kind of failed to break over last week's highs. I don't really know why I'm bringing it up. It was just pretty much a good part of today. I shared some options with premium members that were up like 50% today. But we'll see what happens. It's out of this triangle. If you're in the Discord, I put this in the trading chat like a few times last week and had a nice move this morning. Let's talk about the ongoing trades. Let's start off with Fisker. We have to. Pretty flat day, but it continues to be very, very strong. I am very amazed with how we are holding above 12 and we're closing the daily candles above 12 for the past 4 days. Actually, for the past 5 days, we've closed above 12 on Fisker. That's really good. I mean, I did not think that we would hold it this well. I thought we were gonna get like a pullback, maybe retest 1168, which we still could. But the bulls are really just not letting go, and a lot of the dips are just getting eaten up right away. The trade's still up. I think it's up 22% now. The MACD looks amazing. Again, there was super high probability for a bounce over here based on the technicals, and we got like 3 catalysts in like 4 days, and that's what happens when the technicals and the catalysts line up. Leads to a trade being up 22% and hopefully more, but we'll see. Can't get complacent. As long as you're above 12, I'm completely just sitting back. I don't have anything to worry about with Fisker. We'll see what happens. If you break 12, you still have 1168, which is an important level, if you especially go to the weekly. So we're still above supports. The divergence still looks good. In my opinion, Fisker is just patience right now. You know, just putting a huge move in like a week or a week and a half, And at this point, just sitting back and letting it ride out. You know, the trade's doing well. It's a swing trade. Patience. That's really all I have to say for Fisker tonight. Not much has changed. Didn't even move today. So every day we close above 12 is another day we're continuing to show strength finally on Fisker after a very nasty drop down in price. So there's obviously more room to the upside if the bulls want to push it higher. Is it too late to get into Fisker? In terms of this trade, I would say you're about 22% late. In terms of Fisker for like a long-term investment, I can't give you like investment advice, but personally, I think Fisker at $12 is a pretty good price for the long run. I do genuinely believe that Fisker will be multiples higher than 12 one day. I can't tell you when, but that's just my feeling. So take that however you want to. And yeah, that's Fisker. We'll see what happens. Continuing to be strong. Keep hitting that like button. Let's get to 20 likes if we can. Fisker calls expire Friday. I don't know when you got in them. If you got in them like when I put out the trade or just around when it was at like $10, you're probably in profit. If you got in them within the last few days, then you might actually be down because of time decay. It's just been going sideways for the past few days. So I don't know. You put like a frowning face. So I'm not sure if that's like, we'll see. I don't know. I don't want to speculate on what your position is, but I hope you're doing well. Good luck to your calls. HOFE, this trade's up 14%. I put it out, I think last week, maybe the week before last week, but pretty recently within the last 10 days or so. Trades up 14%, pulled back. This was like the worst performing ticker today. It was down 3%. Just a pullback day after a very big run. Still looks great. Everything's fine here as long as you can continue to make higher lows. Especially if you go over to the 1 hour, you can see we're still making higher lows from this low to this low to whatever this low is going to be. Trade is still completely fine, just a little bit of a pullback. And then the rest of them are just up a couple of percent. XPEV, this trade is up about 17%. I alerted this like a week ago, maybe a week and 2 days ago. I think it was on a Friday I put it out. You're just showing resistance at 29.48, which used to be your support. I would like to get above this level relatively quickly, but we've been spending 3 days rejecting it. You could definitely take some profits over here on XPV. If you're up 17%, you're happy with that. Just got to get above 29. Got to go a little bit higher. And that one's doing fine. IPGP, it's almost at the first target of the trade. This trade's up 11%. It's over 200-day moving average. Looks good. SPG somehow is back in profit after getting stop hunted. Every day it's above 121, it looks good. And then PGRE, I don't even know at this point. This trade's been definitely over a month long. I did not anticipate it to be more than that long, but it is. It's honestly not too far from the first target, at least about like 60 cents away. And it's at the highest point of this trade. So, I mean, if we look left, there's literally no resistance until the gap fill, which is the first target of the trade. So we'll see if it can get there, but I said the same thing over here. When it was up here, I said there's no more resistance. When it was here, I said there was no more resistance. There really isn't any resistance over here. I don't know why we keep pulling back, but we'll see if we'll do it this time. Maybe it's like the third time's a charm. Once you rejected, 2 times rejected. The third time, maybe we'll actually go and hit the target one day. This one moves like a turtle. And that recaps pretty much everything I wanted to go and start off with. I didn't really have too much to talk about. Again, I haven't really been paying too much attention to what's been going on apart from the trades and the market, so feel free to enlighten me with any ideas you have or just news that I haven't really covered. But yeah, OXT trades moving up a little bit more. The crypto trade, good stuff right there. What is it up right now? Still 9%. Honestly, it might be up like 10% now. And yeah, future's still a bit green. That recaps all the things I wanted to talk about. Keep hitting that like button. Again, this is only going to be one of 2 streams this week, unfortunately. Not going to be home for the next 2 days, so get all the likes out now. And yeah, that recaps the majority of what I wanted to talk about. If you want me to take a look at a ticker for you, drop it in the chat and we'll take a look right now. Don't request something that was up 5,000% today. Don't request like something that I peeled last week. I need a stable, consistent chart with the data on it based on how I trade, right? Not everybody trades the same, but that's just how I trade. And I can only really analyze based on my personal education. I can't analyze a chart with 1 candle on it. So yeah, if you want me to try and give you a real good, high probability answer, I'm gonna need some data to work with, right? That's just what I do. So we'll take a look at all these. Let me have some water. Appreciate the likes coming in. I hope everybody's been doing well the past couple days. I will be back on my stream schedule next week. This week I'll probably stream 2 or 3 days, not streaming the next 2 nights. The next week I'll be back on my stream schedule for a while, so just bear with me. So let's take a look at these. We got a lot of tickers dropping in the chat. All right. And again, don't get offended if I skip your chart. If something just literally pumped today or has no data on it, there's nothing I can do, right? If you're going to be emotional as a trader, you should not be watching the stream. You're not supposed to have emotions when you're trading. If somebody disagrees with you, that's completely fine. Multiple people will view a chart in different ways. That's just how trading works and technical analysis. There were just some weird people in the streams last week. So again, you don't have to watch the stream if you're not enjoying it. There's plenty of other people who trade pump and dumps. You can go watch their streams. And that's not me taking shots at anybody. It's just the truth. I just like the charts, the technicals, the things that come from the textbooks, from all the greats that have put in a lot of research into how to actually analyze charts. And that's what I do. That's just what I share. Wow, it's a lot. Everybody came prepared tonight. That's awesome. I don't remember the last time we've had these many tickers this quickly. So we're going to be sitting here for a while, which is great. It's like I'm scanning right now, basically. Wint. Okay. DBX. CLX. Appreciate you, Guy in Hat. All right, let's take a look at these round of tickers. We'll probably add more later on. We're going to start off with NOVN. Looks like I've charted this before, probably recently. I don't think it's really any formal harmonic at that area, but it was in the downtrend. It bottomed once, it bottomed twice with a higher low. You had bullish convergence, which means you made a higher low on the price and a higher low on the MACD and a higher low on the RSI. Had a nice double bottom, got back above 124, which was a pretty important level. That's where your candle opened on July 21st. And yeah, put in a very nice day today. It was up 8%. It was up a lot more. At one point went all the way to 150 and pulled back. I do like how this closed above this little choppy area at like 138. So if you can hold above that, that's great. That's your support at this point in time. As you can see, it used to be resistance and you held it at the close today. So you just want to hope to hold that. And if you do, eventually, I mean, you could just use Fibonacci. You know, 181 is your 50% retrace, and it also lines up with the lows from November 19th of 2019, January of 2019. So that's another important level, 181. Next one is PEN. It broke a really important demand line and the 200-day moving average. Neither of those things are good for the long-term trend on PEN. But you can't argue that you are showing daily classic bullish divergence, which could easily allow for a reversal, at least for the short term. And then maybe you can break back above the 200-day moving average and back above the trend line. So if you're going to be trading this, you're probably trading the divergence. You have triple classic bullish divergence on the 4-hour. So a lot of divergence. This is pretty much implying that people are exhausted of selling the stock. You have divergence on the RSI, on the MACD. It's all over the place, which is good. I don't really know about a pattern here. Maybe you could try and find like a cipher. Let's see. It's pretty close to a cipher. I mean, it didn't bounce to the 786. It got to about like the 7.72 retrace. But pretty close to a bullish cipher with a lot of divergence. Probably have this like supply line. If you ever break this supply line, I'd probably just use Fibonacci from the high to the low, target the 618, the golden retrace, which is like 95 bucks. But you have some work to do. You're just hoping that the divergence can give it a bump to the upside. RDFN. Don't like how you're under 60 bucks. I mean, that was your support from like the COVID. No, it's not the COVID crash. Since March, to about this month, it was your support and you broke it when the market was pulling back. At this point in time, you're probably looking for a harmonic here. It could be a Gartley, pretty close to a bullish Gartley. So you pretty much have a harmonic. You bounce that around the PCZ. If you ignore this little MACD island, you have some classic bullish divergence on the daily. Not on the RSI. So really all I see here is a harmonic. You're under a support, which is now your resistance. You're under the 200-day moving average. But you're playing a harmonic with the MACD. As long as the MACD can go to green and stay green, it might get a nice bump. So we'll see what happens there. IPOE, it's passing the targets of the trade. This was a 24% trade in like a week. And it's going even higher than the targets. I don't know really what's been going on, but IPOE has been doing very, very well. It pretty much tested the highs from March 11th and actually broke them by a little bit and closed like right at them. If you break 20 bucks, I mean, it's really hard to tell what the sky is going to be over here or the roof, because there's not much data on the chart and a lot of SPACs have gone insane, especially after merging. I believe IPOE is SoFi, so I actually like SoFi quite a bit. If you're still holding from the entry at 15 bucks, obviously you're up over 30% now. If you can take out these highs, again, I don't really know how to anticipate how high this is going to go eventually because it's so new. But as long as it holds above 1862, I think it's pretty fine. Like you're comfortable to be in it as long as you can maintain above 1862. All right. LMT next. No divergence on the daily. Looks like it is pretty gappy, but it kind of just looks like a pennant. You know, just consolidating after a run up, a little bit bullish, but it's pretty much neutral, but it's like slightly bullish because you're consolidating after run up and not after run down, if that makes sense. So, I mean, it kind of looks range bound. You are near the top or the higher part of the range, or the top of the range. Eventually it can break it. You can show hidden bullish divergence. I think what you're really looking for here on LMT is for this daily MACD to start waning again and going back towards green. If that happens, then we're talking. And if you can ever break 402, there's not much resistance until like 437, 440, your previous all-time highs. Next one is AHT, right over here. It's kind of looks like the composite operator is messing around over here. You got ice lines, you got fake outs to the upside. I don't know if it's like an actual Wyckoff schematic, but it kind of is the ideology of it. If anybody knows what I'm talking about, I mean, it kind of looks like it. It's a little bit hard to really tell for sure if this is in Wyckoff mode right now, but just a multi-level range after a huge run down, making a higher low from the October lows to the April lows. Pretty interesting long term. In terms of like the short term, you obviously did just have a nice run up. Not much divergence. You broke out of a just like a little supply line I charted previously, which is kind of technically like jumping the creek, which is another Wyckoff term if you're not familiar with Wyckoff. It's interesting. I mean, if one day this randomly just does this, let me try again, does that, I wouldn't be surprised. I'm not saying that's going to happen anytime soon. I have no way to know, but obviously it happened over here in November. It just looks like there's a lot of accumulation going on over here. I just feel it. I mean, I can't tell you for sure, but just from other charts I've seen that have looked like this, they've eventually they've eventually gone on to do things like this. You know, I've seen many charts do this after consolidating in ranges for a long time with fake outs to the upside and to the downside and springs and ice lines and all those things that Wyckoff looked for. So just kind of having a little bit of fun with this chart. It's not like super serious analysis that I'm doing, but at the same time, we'll see. Okay. Hopefully that kind of made sense to some people in here. That's a little bit more of like an advanced topic. But VGAC, or not advanced, but just not as popular in terms of technicals. VGAC. Is this a SPAC? Yeah, it is a SPAC, I believe. It's just at the $10 price. You know, a lot of SPACs have the redemption shares there, so they find support there. There is a gap to the upside, 1253. I mean, There's no pattern, there's no divergence, you're kind of just going sideways. I don't really know what company is behind this SPAC, but it's a SPAC. That's really all I can do here. I mean, again, from a technical standpoint, I'm not sure. From a fundamental standpoint, it just depends on whatever company it's going to be and how people perceive that company. Beyond was up 10% today. Apparently there was some news. Nice volume today. Gapped up. MACD looks pretty good. Pretty good. Back above 113, which is very, very important. If we go out to the weekly, you can see 113 is a very, very real level. And thankfully, you gapped up over it. So as long as you can hold above 114, who knows how high Beyond can go. I mean, I'm looking at the weekly, so this could take a really, really long time. But if it can actually hold above 114, which again, you don't have a lot of breathing room, but if somehow it does, I mean, I think your next resistance on the weekly is like 140. That's also around the 200-day moving average. If you ever break that, you're talking like 160 plus. Just got to hold 114. That's so important. I really hope it can. I'm a fan of the company Beyond. I used to have it in my retirement account. I don't anymore, but I'm rooting for it. Boeing. I might be looking at Boeing options soon. Not as like a long-term options trade, but like a short-term options trade. If it really sets up on the 1 hour, I have it on my watch list. I just don't know over here. I mean, not the best 1 hour setup, but the higher time frames do look really, really good. You're back above your highs from June of last year and your support. That 231 area is so, so important. As long as you're above that, Beyond is bullish. The MACD on the daily looks really, really good. Broke out of this downtrending channel, down sloping channel. I think Beyond looks good. I mean, look at all the higher lows. It's kind of like an ascending triangle. We take a look at it like this. It's pretty much an ascending triangle. You broke out of it, and now you're just trying to flip your previous resistance into a support. So, I don't know. If Beyond can really hold above 231, not Beyond, Boeing. If Boeing can really hold above 231, it might be time for liftoff. Unintended. Next one is Fubo. It also broke out of a channel that was down sloping, just kind of going sideways after the breakout. The issue here is like, yes, it just broke out, but it has supply right above it. You have the 200-day moving average and a previous support, which could be a resistance. It was a resistance on this candle. So really, if Fubo can clear 26 bucks, I think it has room to 32. There's just nothing really in between 26 and 32 on the daily. So I don't know if I'd wait for it to get above 26 before entering if I was trying to get it on Fubo, but it's just what happens if it does this. That's what I'm worried about. Like, it runs up, tests this like resistance zone, and then it just pulls back again, because it is in a downtrend still. I would like to see it get above that to be more confident. Obviously, then it could, you know, if you were waiting for it to get above 26 before entering, it would already have gone up over 20% before you get in. So it might just come down to like a personal thing of whether you're willing to take the risk buying right under supply and hoping just that it breaks right through it, which it could, you know, especially if there's like a catalyst or anything. But we'll see. AABB, OTC. I like the MACD on the daily, just bullish convergence, higher low on price, higher low on the MACD. Kind of also hidden bullish divergence on the RSI actually. So you do have some form of divergence on the daily. It looks like it's starting to round out a little bit. I'm not trying to speculate and say this is going to turn into a cup and handle, but this is how a cup and handle could start. You know, you're starting to see that rounding action. Looks fine. I mean, your support is 17.5 cents from your lows in the end of April. As long as you hold above that, who knows where it can go. I mean, next major resistance is 33 cents. So lower risk, you probably could get a 3-to-1 reward to risk over here. Let's see. You just play the range. Yeah, you get about a 3 reward to risk. So it's definitely tradable. I just have no clue what it is, and I don't personally trade OTCs. We still got about like 15 tickers left until I'm going to look at the chat again for more tickers. But keep hitting that like button, hit that subscribe button. Just charting for all of you. GHVI. I know a lot of people like this SPAC. Don't really know too much about it. Again, there's not much I can really do here. There's not many technicals to be talking about, at least the ones that I look for on high time frames. It's finding support around $10 like most SPACs. It is kind of breaking out of like this, supply line. If you want to chart it like this or like that, you definitely broke out of it. So it is putting in a nice move in the past few days with the market. If it can clear 1396 from your highs at the end of last month, again, there's not much data for me to work with on this chart, but if it clears that, you don't have much resistance until 1780. That's just how the chart works because there's not a lot of data on it. So if it gets above 14, who knows where it can go, but it's obviously under that for now. So we'll see. Let's see. MAC. Sorry if I'm not reading the chat much right now. I'm just trying to get through these tickers because there's a lot, and then I'm going to be adding more tickers after I finish all these. But I'll look at the chat and like as soon as I finish these tickers, I'll take a look through the chat again. MAC is actually on the cusp of a pretty real breakout of an inverse head and shoulders. I think Guy in Hat typed this in. If somebody else did, let me know, but I think it was Guy in Hat. So inverse head and shoulders stuff. It literally confirmed a breakout on the daily today by closing above 1479. And this is where you want to see an inverse head and shoulders after massive drawdown in price, drop down in price. You made a 78% retrace. This asset was on a 78% sale, as Mitch Ray would say, in the short term, and you're showing a momentum shifting structure. It looks pretty good in my opinion. I mean, and especially like look at this. Every day you're above really 15 bucks. Like look how little resistance is above you. There's not that much chop. So who knows? I mean, we go on the weekly, you can see very clearly that it's had a massive correction. It is now making higher lows on the weekly, and there is very little overhead resistance. Honestly, if we're looking at the weekly, there is low resistance until 22. But again, that's on the weekly. It could take forever. So just hope that it can get above and hold above 15. And there's a lot of upside potential. I don't even know what this is. We'll see. ALB, let me go back to the daily. I like how it's holding 153. That's a pretty important support. Was it support? I mean, resistance previously? Let me go on the weekly really quickly. I don't think so. I think it must have just been like a recent support that I charted. Well, it was a resistance actually, right over here, beginning of April. So 153, it's holding above it. As long as you can do that, I think it looks pretty good. Probably a trend line like that. It's above support, looks fine. As long as you hold that area. Next resistance is 172. If you break that, 188. LEV triple bottomed at the PCZ of a bullish bat, and it's gone up for like 7 days in a row or consecutively. So that's great. I mean, if it can break this area, it's probably going to revisit 28 bucks eventually in time. Obviously, there's not a lot of data on the chart, and I don't really know what this is. Is this like an EV company? The Lion Electric company? Let me know if it's not, but it says finance. Let me just check. Saying that it's like electric school buses. Okay. So, I mean, if it breaks this little chop zone, there's not much resistance until 28. Obviously, you're in the choppy zone, so it's a make or break area. But after 3 bottoms in a row, like at what point is it going to be able to just clear this and run? So we'll see. It was up 3% today. Hope it does well. UFIN. Not much to work with here. It's a pretty neutral chart in my opinion. I mean, I don't really know if it's like in a range, but you're finding support at 22.20. You have a resistance from 31 to 34. Even have like a little mini resistance at like 28.50, and it's kind of in the middle of all that. So I don't know. You do actually have some classic bullish divergence on the daily. Made a lower low on price, higher low on the MACD. It says that earnings are coming up on the today, so I don't know if they had earnings. So let me just look it up. If anything happened after hours. So it was up like 1% after hours. Not too sure. Pretty neutral on this one. You see it going either way. JAGX. And again, for the people who already typed in tickers and I haven't gotten to yet, just patience. There's still like 15 more or 10 more tickers for me to go through before I clear out the first round. I'm trying to get to them all. Just gonna need some time so I can give all of you like a somewhat quality response on whatever you requested. I don't know if you put your B point right here, I think you get a bullish bat. Not even, it's not deep enough for a bullish bat. We'll try it out the other way, I guess. Put your B point right there. You're not, I mean, you're gonna need like a much lower retrace, so it's kind of like in between two different harmonics. We don't even need to look at it as a harmonic. I mean, if you're just looking at it, you're in a downtrend. You've bottomed out twice now at the 200-day moving average. You're showing very low levels of negative momentum compared to the past. Pretty close to divergence, but it's not perfect. Just because of this one little island right over here. That one. But if you want to look at it, something like that, you broke a supply line on Friday, broke 200-day moving average. Every single one of these like little, that song is weird. Every one of these like little lower highs that I put in could be a resistance now. So like this, that, so hard to do these, that, you get what I'm saying? So if you did take a position in this because it's breaking out and it's bounced twice now around $1.15, all those little previous highs could just be areas where you scale out. You even have a gap fill over here at 263. So if you like this company for the long term, Jaguar Health, you know, just look at those previous resistances on the daily and you could just scale out some profits at each one. Maybe it doesn't get to all of them, but that's why you scale out profits. So even when it starts coming back down, you've already realized some profits. And that's obviously assuming that with the breakout and the double bottom that it does continue up. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe it breaks the 200-day moving average. And if you take out the lows from May 13th, which was 110, then you kind of have a lot of risk to the downside and gaps to fill. So you definitely need to hold above 110. I mean, this one, it looks very high risk, high reward. Just because, you know, it's a penny stock and I don't know anything about it, but obviously that doesn't mean it's high risk, high reward. It just means like, look at it, it's pretty volatile. I mean, it went from like 15 cents all the way up to $4 in a matter of like 2 weeks or, you know, something like, you know, a month at the end of last year. So very volatile. Not my type of a trade personally, just because this is something I'd be like staring at all day if I was in it, but to each their own. So next one is BNGO. I think it looks pretty decent. Falling wedge. This is not like an actual trade. I think I did that on the stream. Falling wedge is kind of in the middle of it, so I'm not too sure how you would manage your risk, but again, it's just down sloping price consolidation. At some point, it could break out to either side, but there's obviously a higher probability that would break out to the upside eventually. So we'll see what happens. Until then, it's just I'm kind of neutral on it until I see something happen. Unless you start getting like divergence on the daily, which you kind of actually did have. You have triple classic bullish divergence. You're just not seeing much happen right now. So we'll see. BTX was up 21% today. I mean, I'm on the daily. Yes, it was up 21%. So usually I just skip that, but that's obviously nothing compared to how much it's come down. You are showing hidden bullish divergence developing on the daily time frame. You did make a pretty deep retrace. 1257 is your support. That used to be a resistance multiple times in the past few years, even recently in February of this year. You never came all the way down to it. You got pretty close, and then you actually tweezer bottomed on the daily. So this is a potential candle reversal signal, a tweezer bottom. We'll see. It also is like same thing as like a bullish engulfing candle after a downtrend, with pretty similar looking candles, the red one and the green one. So not a bad candle setup and hidden bullish divergence. It's just like other than that though, I don't see a pattern. I don't think you can get a harmonic on the daily for like a straight up, straight down move. So very, very crazy moving. We'll see what happens. Just got to hold above 1257, which unfortunately does give you, you know, 25% more downside to your next major support on the daily. But again, it might not ever get there with the candlesticks that are showing right now. So there's so many different scenarios on something that looks like this. It's just, I just personally don't really trade them. But there are certain variables that make an argument for a reversal. So it's a little bit confusing. I know. That's just how it is. Square, it's holding above 200. It did break out of this demand line of this ascending broadening wedge. maybe it just is working on like a flipping the previous support into a resistance. I don't know. I'm not going to say I'm bearish on Square because I love Square as a company. It's just, if I'm going to look at this chart and not be biased, if I'm going to be unbiased, you broke a major demand line on the daily. But at the same time, it's like you're still above support. You're still at the 200-day moving average. MACD looks fine. It's like everything is okay on this one, except for the fact that you broke such an important trend line. So I just hope that it gets back above it. And 200 is probably, I mean, really 193, I guess, because that was your lows from this recent fall, would just be your risk level, or I can't tell you what to risk down to, but that would be my risk level. Just the previous or current swing low. Still got a lot more to do. CHCI, not too sure. Really gappy. What is the volume on this? It's okay. I don't know. It is kind of rounding out a little bit. It's, you know, nothing perfect, but it's interesting. I mean, that's really all I can kind of say here. It's very, very volatile. Looks like it just spent like 5 years in between $1 and $6, and now it's above $6, which is good. So it's trying to break out of this, you know, really pump and dump sideways trend it's been in for 5 years and really do something. And February it went from $3.51 to $16, which is obviously insane. Then it dumped and just kind of consolidating now. It could pop again, sure. If it breaks back over, you know, $7, $8, it could have a crazy pop just because there's not much resistance above those levels. So, not my type of ticker, but it has potential. I'm not saying it doesn't. DNMR, I literally lined up this trade. It was just they had earnings and I never put it out, and the trade played out. I scanned for this. I found it on my scanner. I charted everything. It was a very good looking bullish Garley with classic bullish divergence, and whatever I charted, what the risk to reward that I set up actually played out. It hit the first target, but I never alerted this anywhere just because of earnings. So missed opportunity there, but yeah, we've had quite a few other opportunities in the past couple of weeks that have been very, very good. So can't complain. At this point, you're still under the 200-day moving average. It just went up over 30% since the lows. You do have classic bullish divergence. It's just you did have a much better buying opportunity here. And of course, like, yes, in the long run, you're still definitely at much lower prices than you were in the last few months. But who knows? Maybe you just make a higher low in price and then you just keep running. It could be a trend reversal like a lot of other growth stocks are kind of setting up for. IDEX looks like it bounced on earnings. Good. Still just kind of in between 250 and 350. It's just range bound for now. That's really all I have to say about it. I like the stock, but from a technical standpoint, I'm kind of neutral here. It could go to the support, it could go to the resistance. I think it's a coin flip. OCG, it's at an ice line, a little bit under, over. I mean, it's really, if I zoom in here, you know, this 430 to 440 area, which you're still kind of at, is very important. You do have classic bullish divergence developing on the daily, almost confirmed, which actually looks pretty good. I'd like to see it reclaim $4.50 to be more confident, just because of how ugly this downtrend is and the lack of data on the chart. OCGN, not sure. Had hidden bullish divergence. It had a nice bounce. Now it's just kind of going sideways. 660 is, where is that from? On the daily. Honestly, I'd say like 760 is your support from that candle low, from this candle low, from these candle highs. You just want to hold above 763. WINT, terrible downtrend. I'm sorry, it's just the truth. I mean, we go out to the weekly. This thing, I don't even know how high it was at one point, but it's been in a very, very rough, at least a few years, maybe longer. Probably longer. I don't know. I don't know if they make money or what's happening here, but of course it's going to have random pumps because of how crushed this thing has been, but it's just a really rough downtrend. So on high time frames, there's no edge. Maybe if you go down to lower time frames, you could try and find something, but even here it's pretty gappy. Again, not my type of ticker to trade, just because of the trend and whatever this is. I don't even really know how to classify this as a technical trader. So again, when you're trading, everybody has their own trading style. If you're looking at a chart that does not if you're looking at a chart that does not meet your standards for what you like to trade, or it doesn't really check off all the boxes on your list in terms of what you look for in a trade, just go find something else. There are thousands of stocks that you can trade. You should never feel forced to trade one stock. As a trader, your job is to find the highest probability setups and the best potential opportunity. So if you don't feel that something is showing that, based on your personal strategies, just move on. And again, I'm not saying this directly to this ticker. I have no clue what this is. I'm just saying in general, why I always say, like, this is not my type of ticker, this is not my type of trade. I just mean that it doesn't really it's not showing me the things that I personally like in my trades. Maybe it's showing you the things that you like in your trades, which is completely fine. A lot of people trade very differently. I'm just sharing my personal thoughts, right? And that's all I'm doing. So that's what I mean by, all those things that I say, like, not my type of trade. I'm not too sure about this. I wouldn't trade this. Like, that's really what I mean. So just for more clarification. Dropbox. It's moving very nicely. It broke a supply line. Very nice reaction to the earnings. It had hidden bullish divergence. It bounced off. Actually broke under 25 and then reclaimed it. I mean, it's above a major area of supply. The next resistance is 28 bucks, which used to be your support back around 2018 when it IPO'd. It ever breaks 28, there's not much resistance until like 34. Very nice uptrend. It looks fine. There was obviously much better areas to be entering Dropbox in the past year, but the uptrend continues as long as you're making higher lows. I don't see much to worry about. I mean, obviously, if you're in options, then at some point it's going to pull back. You're losing that positive momentum the higher you go. It's a little bit overbought on the low time frames, but the high time frames are still fine. So that's Dropbox. CLX. I'd probably just lower this. I'd say your support is 177 based on this low and this low. You're trying to hold that again. MACD on the daily looks fine. You go out to the weekly. Very nice trend on the weekly. Oh, this is Clorox. Okay. It looks fine as long as you can hold 177. So you could get through reward to risk if you want to trade. If you wanted to trade this, just target the top of the range. Literally put your stop loss, like, I don't know why I went to Bitcoin. Look like this, a range bound trade. Even if you target the lower resistance, which is not a crazy gain by any means, but 7% gain and you're risking like 1.5%, you obviously get a 5 reward to risk. Like, it's a low risk, high reward opportunity if you have a stop loss at that level. But hey, maybe it breaks that level and you lose 1.5%. But it's Clorox, so we'll see how Clorox does. I don't know why I'm saying it like that. And that pretty much takes out the first round of tickers that I put in my watch list. So I'm gonna add more in a second here. Make sure to hit that like button if you're enjoying the ticker request analysis. Hit that subscribe button if you're new to the stream. Fortunately, I'm not going to be streaming the next 2 days, but I will be going live again on Thursday. So I'll see you then. But until then, we'll keep running through these tickers. I'm not ending the stream right now. I know it kind of sounded like I was for a second. I'm going to drop all these other tickers in my chat. I don't know if you were saying SMH like the ETF for semiconductors, or if you were just saying SMH like you're shaking your head. I'll just type it in. We'll look at the semiconductor ETF. Longest stream has to be, I think, probably around 3 hours, maybe a little bit less, between 2.5 to 3 hours. That's just off the top of my head, but I don't know the actual number. I would love to do a marathon stream one day. I really don't want to look at SafeMoon. I don't even see SafeMoon to US dollar, but we can look at SafeMoon to wrapped Ether. I don't even know how that works, but we'll look at the chart, whatever. It's a chart. Google. see. Cardano. Also, pot stocks. They had a very good bounce, like, I think last week in the beginning of the week. Or no, maybe the week before. They had a little bit of a bounce, but they just have not been performing as well as I thought they would. EVs are really, really hot right now, a lot of them, or they have been ever since we had that, like, 10% correction in the NASDAQ. And pot stocks kind of started bouncing with EVs, but then EVs just kept going, and pot stocks have kind of just went flat now. So I don't know, I think eventually pot stocks are going to have a nice bounce again. We'll see. They're just kind of being a little bit slow compared to a lot of other small cap and growth stocks, which is weird. We put in our Alright, let's get to it. We need one more like tip 30 likes, so if you didn't hit that like button, go for it. We already looked at Fubo. Helion. Another trade that was just a missed opportunity. I charted this. It was trying to double bottom with classic bullish divergence, but I didn't put out this trade because they had earnings. This was the thing with a lot of like growth stocks and small caps. The week before last week, they looked so good. They all had like earnings in like 2 or 3 days, so I didn't put out the trades on them because I don't like trading around earnings as a technical trader. And then all of them are just up now. Like, I think a lot of them even missed on their earnings, but they're still just up because a lot of them, like, I mean, I think the earnings are priced in if something like this happens. Maybe it's safe to assume that in hindsight, or not. All right, let me not say that before somebody goes and gambles away on earnings. It's not safe to assume that. I'm just kind of making a joke, okay? Because who knows what people might be taking seriously. Hopefully you understood what I meant. Helion, double bottoming. I mean, the trend is still insanely ugly. I remember when people were shilling this, when it was literally called shill or shell or SHLL when it was a SPAC. Everybody was talking about it on the way up. Everybody was talking about it a little bit on the way down, and then it just got really ugly. And now, not once but twice, it has bottomed out at $7. If it can ever break this neckline around $11, I mean, if we're gonna zoom out, there's not much resistance from 11 to 15. So the move from 11 to 15 is very possible, but it has to get there first. And you'd think that after triple classic bullish divergence on the daily, and after getting crushed and double bottoming, that it is possible. The only question is, this downtrend is still very ugly. Trader Dive, I got you. Thank you for the $3 donation. Which one did you request? I don't know if it's going to say the same name in chat as your tip name, but again, thank you for the $3 and for saying thank you. So yeah, that's Helion. I hope it does well. I mean, it's back at $10, which was like the SPAC redemption share price. So we'll see what happens. It was completely flat today. Next one is Lots. I'm not touching this under 643. That was your major support. This is one of the worst performing SPACs. I know there are a decent amount of bag holders in this stock, but I don't know. There's no support left. It needs to reclaim 643 for me to really get confident about it. So, I mean, randomly one day could it be up like 30% because that's what Clover did and what UWMC did? Sure, and I'm referring to those because Clover and UWMC looked a lot like this before they had a very big pump. But then they sold off again. So it's like, it's really tough on a few of these SPAC names that just like got destroyed, in March and April. I just don't know at this point. We've made some very nice trades on Clover. We've made a couple nice trades on UWMC. I think I put out like one trade on Lots that might have gotten stopped out actually for like a 5 or 6% loss. But at this point, there's so many other opportunities I'm seeing that suit my trading style a lot better than this. That's all I gotta say. So this is Safe Moon to Wrapped Ether on the daily. And I'm going to be straightforward with you. I don't think I can really chart this. So I'm going to move on. Hopefully you understand. But you had good volume today. It was higher than any other volume on the chart because there wasn't any other volume on the chart. So it's interesting. I mean, it says that the price is 0.00000000000, and that's my analysis on Safe Moon. Next one. I don't know why it doesn't show up on TradingView. I'm sorry, but that's all I can do there. Google, one of the best stocks ever, continuing to be a monster. Hidden bullish divergence on the daily. I mean, I think it was Kevin O'Leary that was saying on CNBC that he thinks that a major catalyst for Google to continue being one of the best stocks in the world is YouTube. Now, he thinks that obviously everybody knows what YouTube is. Everybody in the stream is actually on YouTube right now, but he thinks that a lot of investors are overlooking how much money YouTube is making. I think there was a stat where like Google bought YouTube for, I don't know, maybe a couple bill or something like. I don't remember the exact. I could look it up. It's a pretty interesting stat. Did they buy it for 1.65? So Google bought YouTube for 1.6. Google bought YouTube for a little bit under $2 billion. What, like 15, 16 years ago? And I think there was like a stat that YouTube is now making like pretty much that same amount like every single month in ad revenue, or some, again, not real numbers. This is just out of the top of my head, but you get the point where it's like YouTube was obviously one of the best investments that has ever been made, or one of the best acquisitions by a company ever. And Kevin O'Leary thinks that YouTube is going to be a major catalyst for Google in the next few years as it continues to grow, and he doesn't think that YouTube is going to slow down. Obviously, YouTube is kind of like becoming like the new TV for a lot of people, especially younger people. So that's a great point. I mean, from a charting standpoint, it's still in an uptrend as long as you make higher lows. Your recent swing low was $2,000. You're at 2,400. Well, honestly, your recent swing low was like 2,239. As long as you continue to make higher lows, I have nothing bad to say about Google, even if it does pull back. I mean, it's such a strong stock. Even with the worst market corrections, historically, it's always been bought up. I mean, it's still near all-time highs. Historically, all it's been doing since the corporate crash is make new all-time highs. I mean, really all it's done in its inception is just higher, 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 higher. So until that trend breaks, I have nothing bad to say about Google long-term. It's just kind of like Apple for me. Like, I think that it's just so strong. People just always want to buy it. So obviously, a top 5 company in the world. And the MACD is implying that this will continue. So we'll see what happens. And that's not me saying it can't pull back. It can. I just think long-term that it's still going to keep crushing it. Cardano is breaking a supply line. Kind of looks like Bitcoin, like a descending broadening wedge. However you want to chart it, doesn't really matter. You had classic bullish divergence on the 4-hour MACD. It's putting in a nice move. You have a resistance at about 183 on Coinbase, which is the exchange I'm looking at. 183 could be a target if it ever breaks that. I mean, there's not much until back up there. But obviously, as Mitch Ray said, you're on the other side of the fence now. This was like the first side of the fence, all the hype and FOMO and euphoria, and then this is the other side of the fence. So we'll see if we get the same exact or the same type of game on this side of the fence. But yeah, that's really all I have to talk about. I mean, there's not too much data for me to work with. Nice break of the supply line. It's already up. I mean, 46% since the lows, but a lot of other cryptos kind of look the same as well. EVFM is at all-time lows. They gap down. I would not personally. This is not my type of taker. It's a penny stock. It has crazy gaps to the downside. It's in a horrible trend. None of the things I said were incorrect. Those were all true. So don't hate me for saying that. It's just what's on the chart. It's not something I personally would get in. And of course, one day randomly, just because of how much it's been crushed, one day can randomly just do this and go up crazy. But I don't know when that day will be. So I'd rather go trade other things that make more sense to me based on my trading style. I'm just going to move on. Don't take it personally. Just not what I personally trade. Sundial. Oh, I need to look at the chat for like questions. All right, I have like 6 or 7 more tickers. I'm just going to run through these and then I'm going to look at that. Sundial looks pretty good to me still. I know it's not really doing much. It had a nice bounce and it's just kind of going sideways now. And the MACD doesn't look as good as it once did. But you're still above the 200-day moving average. You're still above 69 cents. At what point is this going to, reverse? It's making higher lows. It's trying to flip a previous resistance into a support. It's going to be tough. It might not ever happen. But as long as it holds the 200-day moving average, I think that it's okay. I mean, obviously, all it needs to do is drop, 5%, and then the whole entire ideology or thought process changes on this. But for now, we'll see what happens. Hopefully, it can show some life soon. BMBL, not enough data on the chart for me to really analyze it on high time frames. Matic is pretty much the same thing. I mean, that's a little bit more data. But even here, there's not much for me to say. I don't really see much of a pattern. Sorry for skipping those. I just, again, not too much I can do there. Hope you understand. ONTX. You really want to hold above 731, which was really like 730. Yeah, 730, which was your lows from May 13th. It actually went crazy last week. And now it's just kind of all the way back down. Maybe it was news or something. I said that it had a split. I don't know if that's right. Maybe it did, maybe it didn't. That's what TradingView was saying. No divergence, no pattern. 733, that's your level to watch. It was down 17% today. WAEY. It has hidden bullish divergence on the daily now, but it's not doing anything at all. It's just showing resistance at the 200-day moving average. I would personally probably just wait for it to get above the 200-day moving average because it's been showing that as resistance for the last like 2 weeks now. So hopefully it gets back above it. Until then, I'm not too sure. I mean, you have a support at 606, but that's obviously pretty far away. Also kind of a support at 683 from this low, from these lows, from this candle high. So those are your supports. You're not at them yet. You might not ever get to them. You're just kind of in between supports and 200-day moving average. UWMC looks pretty interesting to me. It got back above 722 after a fake out on earnings, and it kind of looks like it's putting in like a bullish pennant. I mean, you could see it. You're just kind of consolidating sideways. At some point, this is going to break. It could break to either side. There's a slightly higher chance it breaks to the upside because it just happened after a move up in price, but still relatively a neutral pattern. However, you are in a value perceived area compared to previous times. If this breaks to the upside, I mean, 950 could be next. If this pennant breaks to the upside, there's not much resistance or really any resistance until then on high time frames. So just see whichever way it breaks out. That'll probably be telling. PHUN under the 200-day moving average. Very, very choppy chart. Let me just clear this up 1 second. I mean, it's so, look how like, this is like, the MACD is literally just becoming so neutral, it's insane. Look, every single green island is making a lower high than the previous one. Let me just chart it for you. Look at this, like every single green island is making a lower high than the previous one. Every single red island on the MACD is making a higher low than the previous one. It's like you're getting a heavy amount of consolidation on the MACD, where it's just like you're so tight over here that it's just so neutral. Like this could break to the upside, break to the downside. Usually I never chart my MACD like this, but it just kind of looks pretty cool, where both sides of, you know, the ball are just kind of really losing momentum, and one side's going to take control probably pretty soon. But obviously I have no clue to which side. I mean, this is probably your support, 114. It was your lows on March 5th when the S&P was at the bottom of the wedge, and it was your lows like 2 weeks ago for 2 consecutive days. So you just want to hold above 114. If you can do that, you're fine. So hopefully what you want to do is break back above the 200-day moving average before falling under 114, if you can do that, your next resistance is 168 from these candle highs. That's it. Oh, you asked about OCGN and DNMR. Got it. Appreciate the 3. DLPN, there's a gap at 568. It kind of is a breakaway gap, so I wouldn't worry about it too much unless you broke under your lows or your previous swing lows, which would be below 769. So as long as you're above 769, it's fine. Again, a little bit gappy and just weird looking for my personal trading style. I would like to see the MACD move back towards green again and start developing this classic bullish divergence as it was for a little while. If it does that, we'll see. Hopefully it can get a bounce. Maybe it, tests the support, the MACD flips over to green, and then it goes for the bounce. I don't know. I don't want to really speculate, but just throwing out different potential scenarios. Dogecoin. Pretty close to another bullish Gartley. There's been like 5 or 6 bullish Gartleys on Dogecoin this year alone that have pretty much like all played out that I can remember. Maybe one of them didn't play out. But there was a bullish Gartley over here at 2 cents when I put out a trade on Dogecoin. That played out and obviously went much, much higher than I thought it would. There was like a bullish Gartley over here, like there was some, I don't know why Dogecoin always makes bullish Gartleys. Like somebody is messing with this. I know there's like literally everybody or all the retail traders messing with it, but like it's just so funny how many bullish Gartleys that this kind of creates. Yeah, last time I saw a bullish Gartley on Dogecoin, I dropped my tea all over my MacBook. So thankfully, I don't have any tea left to drop tonight, but crazy. Already kind of reversed at the PCZ. Again, it wasn't really like, this is not super textbook. The B point was a little bit low, the D point was a little bit low, but you get the idea. It was relatively close and it's pretty much the same psychology. So it's on a move up, obviously, alongside Bitcoin. I mean, is it breaking a supply line yet? Probably. Actually, it just tested it. So Dogecoin tested the really big downsloping trend line, and for now it's rejecting it. It could easily just pull back and then run again and break it, but for now you're under it. If you ever break it, I mean, I'd probably just use Fibonacci to target to the upside. 50%, the 618, the 786. And in terms of support, that's where it gets pretty tough. You don't have much support at these areas after going insane. So you'd probably have to go on to like lower time frames, which you do if it did pull back. For now, it's just kind of doing whatever. Mitch Ray breaking out of a falling wedge on the 4-hour. It's trying to hold above 15 bucks, which was a support from January of 2020. If it can really hold above 15, it already broke out of the wedge. There's classic bullish divergence on the day. I mean, if it can really just hold this area and start bouncing, who knows? All right, that's all I'm gonna say. It's at an area where you're hoping that it could bounce based on the technicals. Maybe it doesn't, but I personally think you bounce off the 200-day moving average. You broke out of a wedge. I've been looking at Tilray for quite some time now. At what point is it gonna go? We'll see. Maybe never, but hopefully soon. Futures still up about 0.15%. Bitcoin 38.5K. I think I'll do let me just look at the chat. I haven't really looked if there's like any questions or anything. Sorry if I missed any questions. YouTube changed their terms of service when they can monetize videos from channels. Where they can monetize videos from channels not in the YouTube partner program. I did not know that. So I don't have ads on for the stream because I don't want you to have to watch an ad every single time you click on one of my streams. And also I play copyrighted music, so I can't run ads on them as well. Even if I did play non-copyrighted music, that's just stupid. But I do run ads on like on the course on my channel and a few other educational videos I've made. I mean, honestly, I should probably also just take those off. I just wanted to try it out, see if it was worth it. But I think so I think the course, I don't know exactly how many views the course on my channel has, but it probably altogether probably around like 8,000 or 9,000 views if you include all the videos in the trading course. And I think I've got like $40 off of that or something. So it's like, is it really even worth it? I mean, that's not that many views compared to other people's courses, but you know, if 9,000 people have to sit through an ad for me to make $40, it's just kind of stupid in my opinion. You know, I'd rather just trade and make $40 off of something stupid like Dogecoin, like we just looked at. I don't know. It's just, I don't know. Literally, I don't know. I'm just kind of testing it out. Maybe if I, you know, optimize my videos and stuff and do all those weird things that a lot of other YouTubers do, it'll give me a higher CPM and I'll make more money per view. But I'm just, honestly, at this point in time, I don't really care too much about it, which I probably should. But for now, I'm just doing what I'm doing. I'm enjoying it, and we'll see how things turn out. Let's see. All right, so I think we got like a few more takers, and then I'm just gonna, whatever the takers are left in the chat, I'll look at those. I'm not gonna do any more new takers. And yeah, we got like 5 more takers, and then we'll probably call it after that. So make sure to hit that like button if you've been enjoying the stream. Looks like we got a higher average watch time than usual on this one, so thank you for sticking around longer. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, check out the links in the description. If you want to join premium alerts, we just pulled out a 50% trade in a week on Space, which was amazing. Did I delete the chart? I don't know why it keeps deleting my charts, but it was a great trade. Let's see, can I pull it up? That's right. There we go. Space trade. All right, the alert was 1688, around there. Target was 26. Target was achieved in 1 week, exactly in 1 week. 54% profit. So if you want stuff like that, this is obviously not a normal trade. I'm not one who just only hypes up the best trades ever. This was one of the best trades. This probably was in the last like 2 months like the best swing trade. So this is not anything normal. Usually I go for like 15-20% profits on the things that I trade. But if you want to join premium alerts, that's the first link in the description. Also, I share my my options trades, which we had a GameStop options trade go up like 50% today as well. So first link in the description. I don't like plugging it too much, and like, again, if you want to join. If you don't, I'm still gonna try my best to help you out as much as I can. And that's that. I just feel weird talking about it so much, because other people just they only talk about their, you know, paid plans or whatever it is. It's just like, it's there if you want it. If you don't want it, nobody's judging you. We have a few more takers to look at. Oka Market. I have no clue what that is, but we can take a look. We'll look at that one. And this is going to be the final round of takers. You know, all the takers that were already in the chat, I'm just going to look at those. INVU, Square, FNB, and that'll be it. So just these 5 takers or 4 takers. And then we're going to call it. What's my biggest goal for this year? I'm not a huge like goals person. I have a lot of short-term goals. I set a lot of short-term goals for myself, but I don't like long-term goals that much because so much can change. So I always try and like live like day by day. I don't really like, you know, thinking about too far out into the future. But like if I had to make one long-term goal, I don't know. That's tough. Probably it would just be like, you know, like this year, 10,000 subscribers on YouTube would be great. That's really all I can think about. Oh, XRP, I can take a look at that. I forgot to, my bad. Yeah, it's probably 10,000 subscribers on YouTube. I do have a monetary goal, which is just like a rough goal. I'm not going to say the number, but I have a monetary goal for this year as well. I heavily exceeded my goal for last year by a lot, by like 3 or 4x, which was insane. I mean, shout out to all of you for helping me out and supporting me. But we'll see. I don't like getting too caught up in all that stuff. I just take it day by day, be grateful for what I have, and try my best. Polkadot, there's not much work or data that I can do on this chart, or data for me to work with on this chart. I don't know, I can't speak. It's pretty much at an all-time low. I mean, really tough to chart this. There's not even any divergence. Actually, on the RSI, you do have some classic bullish divergence. Other than that, I don't know what else to talk about. So I'm just gonna leave it at that. Sorry. I hope you understand. INVU, it never filled the gap to 18 cents. It's still developing hidden bullish divergence. It's still holding above 20 cents. In my opinion, it's either like it can reverse here because it's showed support at this multiple times, or it might fill the gap. But I do think that those are two solid potential bounce areas. If it doesn't bounce either of those, I have no clue. I don't even know what this does or what this company is, but like this area right here is where I'm hoping that it can reverse between 20 and 18 cents. Obviously, that's a pretty wide range, but that's just, you know, gap fill, previous resistance, short-term support. There's a few things lining up in this little yellow box. So it's like you want to bounce around over here. Otherwise, you're talking like back down to 10 to 11 cents just based on support and resistance. I mean, you had a range over here. You broke out of it, you went crazy, and then you came all the way back down. So you'd want to hold that. Sorry for all the new people dropping tickers in the chat. I'm just gonna kind of close out with what we already have in the watch list, so I can get to bed. We already looked at Square earlier. FNB, maybe like ascending broadening wedge kind of. Probably say that 1, 2, 3, 4, kind of 4 touches. It's not 5 touches yet. I like that it's above 1275. That's a very realized line. Resistance, support. Very important. 1275. As long as you're above that, you're fine. Not much divergence on the daily. Kind of hidden bullish divergence if you zoom in on the 4-hour. Nice uptrend. Just got to hold above 1275. XRP. Bullish Gartley on XRP. Actually already bounced at the PCZ, which was also the 200-day moving average. It's already up. I mean, there was this was going to be, if I did look at this, this would be the trade entry at like 66 cents. It's obviously up over 50% since then. So, I mean, it is actually in an important area. If we go back all the way to 2018, 93 cents was a previous resistance, and now if we come all the way back to 2021, at least for now, for the past like, you know, few hours, it's trying to become your support. If you can flip 93 cents into a support, I don't even know how high this could go. If you fall back under 93 cents, that's when it gets kind of iffy. And the thing is, like, you know, Bitcoin also is kind of at a supply area after breaking out of this descending broadening wedge. So it's like huge make or break areas for a lot of these coins. Yeah, I think that's going to do it for the stream tonight. We put in pretty much an hour and 20 minutes. All right. Not going to be live tomorrow or on Wednesday. Not going to be home. But I will be live on Thursday. I'll be back home and I'll be back to my normal schedule, which is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Sunday. I take Friday and Saturday off every week because the markets are closed the next day. So yeah, 2 more days I'm gonna be off the stream. Sorry for the 2-day break I just took, but 2 more days and then we're gonna get right back to the, you know, full-time schedule on Thursday. So appreciate all the support. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, check out the links in the description. Have a great night, trade safely tomorrow, and I'll see you on Thursday night at 9 p.m. EST. Peace out.
Honey, get the kids in the car now. Put the cash in the trunk, get the keys, let's go. Hit the biggest bank in Chicago. For all of that, we're the thieves you know. the thing that I told you 3 years, 2 moons ago. Promise I'll be right behind you, but you're gonna die if you don't hit the road. Keep your lights down, keep your voice down low. Wear your head down, whichever way you go, and I'll meet you in Iowa. 3 kids in the back of a caddy. She said, come here and kiss your wife. And I know you're real mad at me, but you're on your way to some kind of life. Daniel, John, and Abby promise me to treat your mother nice. Keep your lights down, keep your voice down low. Wear your head down, whichever way you go, and I'll meet you in Iowa.